Hello and welcome to a new Touchdesigner tutorial. In this tutorial we are going to build up an interactive system which can be used also for interactive installations, and that involves Kinect, audio triggers and video triggers. Among this tutorial we are going to cover different kind of subjects, starting from the Kinect as controller, a particle system SOP, different kind of materials, the analyze video top, some post-processing made in top, and also some rendering. So I go in front of the Kinect. So let's go ahead and let's start to build up this system. So we delete all the operators on the desktop of Touchdesigner. We also close the palette. And now we have a free desktop. We start with a sphere, SOP. So we can SOP, sphere, radius is gonna be 0.1. And then we want to just the connectivity of the columns. This because we want then a particle systems that is like releasing particles, but in a kind of a shape of a line. Okay, then I add a sort. And this is gonna be a random. No, by Y. Also because we want the vertical lines of the particles. And then we add a transform. And this transform, for the moment we don't do anything with this transform, just keep it. But yeah, with this transform we're going to control the translate X and Y with our Kinect. Then we add the null. And then we add a particle system. So we add particles, we connect it to the null, and we can see already our particles here. But what we want to do here in the particle is setting some parameters. First, we want that we reuse the first available point. Then we want the jitter birds off. We want to remove the unused points. And we go in wind here, and we want a little bit of wind. And this means that our particles are gonna push a little bit upwards, but yeah, not that strong and not that fast. A little bit of turbulence to give a little bit of randomness to the movement of the particles. And then we go into the particle page and we set the birth of the particles. We don't want that many particles, we want just a few particles. We want the life expectations of 5, and then in the end we want as a limit we want to set this as bounds on contact. Yeah, and then we also need an attractor. So we want to add another sphere. This time the radius should be 0.4, a little bit bigger. Then also we want to add a transform. I want this one -1, 3, and 0. Yeah. And scale to 1, 1. Yeah, it doesn't look that nice, I know, but we just need like, we could have also used another shape, it doesn't matter. The attractors actually, we are not gonna see the attractors, we'll just use this guy to attract our particles. So, and we want something that is not really into the middle, we want something that is a little bit on the side, and then it will be placed as a surface attractor here. Right. So we can also get closer. And yeah, at this point, we can just copy this, paste it. We'll paste it down here. Then we copy also the transform. Here we delete the other transform we had. And then this is going to be 1. Because we don't want an attractor in the same position. Actually, it's another system. We delete also this connection. And we add the attractor here. So, and after this, we add merge. And we connect the 2 particle system. Here, should be able to see something. We don't see very well. So basically what we see here is, yeah, we see some particles that they are attracted one direction, and then the other system we have same particles basically with the same kind of speed, but attracted by this other sphere. And then we want that all these 2 systems are together, because then we want to send this system for the instance. So now once we are done with our particle system, we go further and we start to build up our Kinect controller. To do so, we grab a container and we can already name it Kinect controller, so that we know that we use this for controlling our Kinect. So place it, we go inside, and then we grab a chop Kinect. We add a leg. That's a usual thing to do when we grab Kinect chops. Then we add a select, and actually we copy and paste it twice. So we add at the end 3 select chops, place them better in the space. First one is going to be P1, but we are not going to use it now. We are going to actually work more with the hand L and in the hand right. So we now need, yeah, another select, actually other 2, and then also here we need other 2 select. This is for our y axis, and this is for our x, again x and y. So, and now we grabbed basically like our left hand and right hand, and we select the y axis and the x axis for the right and left hand. And from here we start to then add our math chops. So we need 4 of them. Yeah. So, and basically for the axis, we need these values. I mean, like, I tried out a few values and this is what I found it useful to not go out, to not get out from the screen, and to, yeah, still stay always in the inside it. So the values are, in this case for me, were -1, 1, and from -2.9 to 2.7 for the left hand, and for the right hand it was like -1, 1, but different values here, -3, 1.7. And regarding the y-axis, I wanted to go from the bottom of my viewer until the upper part, so I chose these other values. In this case, the values were from 0.1 because I wanted to use like my hand close to my hip, basically. So, and not down, and the values for the left hand, and for the right hand, it's -0.1, 1, -1, 0.7. So these were the values that I found useful. To the y axis, I also add a limit. Here, here. And this limit is a clamp for both. And the clamp is from -1.1 to 0.1. And also for the other end, it's the same value. -0.1, 0.1. And this because I wanted to go up with my hand, but so I wanted to limit the bounds of my movements. Then I added a merge, and in this merge there are all the values here. Here in the merge we have like left hand x and y and right hand x and y. Then we add null, and in the end we add out. And with our outs we are basically done with the Kinect controller. We can add a null here, and now with this guy we can already send the informations to our transform here. So basically we can do a little bit, yeah, back the sub operators. It's also like the Kinect control, and then we can send the information. So the upper part will be our left, and we add a chop reference, another chop reference controlling x and y, and then we send these other informations to the other transform. So x and y. And this means that, yeah, we are now controlling the other sphere. So this sphere actually is the sphere that is going to be used for then instancing our nodes, and it's moving, while the other two spheres here are the attractors, so they are not moving. And now we can work on null here. Let's part of our system. Then we can add a sub to chop. Sub to chop grabs the information from the null, and from the sub actually we're gonna get a custom information, and this custom information is the information about life. Sorry. So here we have informations with life about the life expectations of our particles, and these informations are basically, so we have like a couple of particles here, and we have this peak of the life that is 4, and basically it's corresponding to our 5 seconds of life, and this is repeating, of course, all the time. So basically what we want to do now is grabbing like the life 0, so we add a select, life 0, that's the most interesting information that we need at the moment. We also need a math because we want to modify this information. So basically what we want is, so this information is giving us like the number of particles here of the 2 spheres, so they are around 50, and the time, so the 5 seconds. What we want to say to our math is, when you are from 0 to 1, we want that you are from 0.2 actually, from 1.4. And then we want to replace this information in our sub2. So we're going to change the information of the life of our particles. We add the null, and now we modified the information in our sub2 chop about the life. I want to use this information for the scale of my particles, of my nodes, so that when it's the beginning of the life of the particle, so the size of my nodes are really small, but at the end of the particle life, the size of the node is kind of big, very visible. Now we want all our geometries in the system, and especially we want to also instance the node. But so how do I do with the geometries? So I basically go in websites that provide 3D models, and there I can find objects, files, .obj or .fbx files, and yeah, you can use this TurboSquid. You need a registration, you need an account, or you also can go in free 3D. You can also get it without an account here, and here you can find models, sometimes for free, or sometimes you have to buy them, but yeah, you can use these models then in Touchdesigner. And for this system where we are building up, I used some free geos, and I found them like here in the free Trumpet. Found it here on TurboSquid, and then the guitar I found it here, and there were also some materials sometimes, and the musical notes. So I already downloaded, of course, so I'm just gonna grab them easily in my system. But before starting to work with all of them, sometimes I need to modify them, because yeah, they are too heavy for my system, or like they just have too many informations that I don't need, and then they can just slow down my system. So what I usually do is I add SOP polyreduce, for example, in the case of my trumpets. And yeah, if we go into the informations, we have like more than 200,000 points, and I don't need all of them. I actually need maybe 20% of it. So I grab my polyreduce, I send informations of the trumpet there, and then I tell to my to Touchdesigner, to this polyreduce, to keep just the 20% of the incoming informations. And then we'll wait a little bit. We can already see that we have already 40,000 points here. So once I have this, I use my right click and then say to Touchdesigner, save geometry. Trumpet. And we can see here it's like a TOG file. And this means that it's a geometry, basically. And now I can just go in my folder, grab my trumpets, will be a SOP. We can check the informations, and they are 40,000 points. So basically, I can now delete the original trumpet, the original geometry, transformations I did, and use just this trumpet here, basically. And something similar I'm gonna do with this. Basically, with the FBX, we have to go inside the objects, but actually the mesh it's here. So what I want to do is just saying to Touchdesigner, save this guy as a geometry that you can easily recognize. I don't need to go inside the FBX. I don't need the FBX. Just want the guitar. Toot. I save it. The informations were good of this guitar. They were not. It's 27. Yeah, under 30,000 points. So what I need to do is just now come back, and I go and grab my folder also my guitar. Perfect. And now I need the materials of my geometry. I downloaded already in the folder when I downloaded the FBX, and here I have the two files that I'm gonna use for my material for the guitar. So I can delete also this one, and then I have the musical notes. The musical notes has 40,000 points. It's pretty good. And yeah, so now I'm ready to work. Once I imported all the geometries, I'm ready to work with my instancing. So what I do now, I have this geometry, but I want to just use this part that is in frontal part, but then the part behind I don't need it. So what do? I add transform first, because I want to rotate a little bit my geometry, -90. And then I also want to uniform the scale, 0.035. Yeah, and this happens because when you import it in Touchdesigner, you need to scale down a lot, actually, the dimensions. So afterwards, we need a delete. Yep. And we select then use bounds, and we want to use a bounding box. Bounding box is, you can see here we have a box, and this is the box that is gonna delete our geometry, our SOP, basically. So according to its position, of course. So if we put it like far from the center, because this note is in the center, we see that we can still see the geometry, and our bounding box is deleting all that's here, but here there is nothing. So, but when we, as soon we move it like more closer to the center here, and we can also go a little bit more close. So as soon we get closer, we start to delete part of the geometry, because the geometry is inside the box. So all that's inside the box is gonna be deleted. Now our bounding box is a little bit too big for our purpose, so we want to give some parameters for the size, and the parameters are 0.1, 0.2, and then 0.021, and then we want to also locate into the space our bounding box, and this is 0, so we want it in the middle, then a little bit up, so 0.1, and then we want it still is not deleting anything, or almost we want to delete more actually, so we want it a little bit bigger. And yeah, with this operation we are done with our delete. So we have our nodes without the tail that we had before, and so we need a rotation, we need a transform, and it's actually ready to be sent to our instancing. So now we prepare our geometry, click on instancing, we don't have anything yet. We have this null 5, that is our, it's gonna be our instancing, name it instancing, and here we can drag it, still not visible because we need the tree x, dy, descent. And yeah, we have our nodes instanced. Now I'll add a light and a camera, light and render, close that. I'm gonna place a little bit better into space these guys here, and we render it. Okay, I'm gonna go shortly to the Kinect and see what happens here. So now I'm moving my left hand, and now my right hand, so everything's fine. And now I go upwards, my left hand, and this is the limit that I set before. So I don't want to go upper than this position on my screen, and I don't want to go down in this position. We can name now this geo like nodes, and then we also need like geo for the trumpets. We need geo for the guitar. I'm gonna name them trumpet, guitar, and also we need different renders. We don't want all rendered together because we are gonna do some post-processing, so we want actually the render for the notes. So we click on render and we just click on the name of the geometry, so nodes, and in this case we're gonna just render, for this render, just the nodes, and we want another render, and this is just the trumpets. Sorry, I typed wrongly here. So we have just the trumpet, and then we want another render that is just the guitar. And then we want two other renders. One that is rendering the notes and the trumpet, and one that is rendering the notes and the guitar. Once we have all these renders, we're going to modify the size of the trumpet and the guitar. So we go here, the trumpet, geo. The size of the geometries that we import through .object and .fbx are usually pretty big, so we have to scale down the size. And in the case of the trumpet, I found a good scale number 0.001, and the coordinates are -1 here and 0.7, so up a little bit on the left, and then I rotate on the y-axis. And regarding the guitar, I also have to scale down the guitar, so close this, open this, and also close this so that I can see my guitar. It's pretty big in this case, so the guitar should be 0.002, and then we place it on the right side of the screen, so in this case 0.87, 0.88, so that it's also up, and then I rotated on 270 and 170 and 70. I want to already give some materials to my geos. So regarding the nodes, I'm gonna add Fong material, and I want them white. So I'm gonna give this value here for the color, it's basically gray. Then I had the specular, it's the same value. And then I work more on the rim. So I go into rim here, I enable the rim light, and then I choose the color of the rim, and I want it white. Then I can already apply the material, maybe, yeah. So nothing really changed that much, but then I want the width of my rim is 1.5, and that's already something changing. And then I want that it's a little bit stronger. Perfect, and that's enough for me. And then in order to not have like that many stuff here on my desktop, I can already cap this, copy inside it. Maybe I can call it material, and then I go in notes, render. Instead of fong, I will just type in material, and then it's working. So then regarding my trumpet, I need a fong, and the color will be a yellow one in this case. One, 1, 0. Then I will also need some specularity here, so I pick the white. Can already apply this to the trumpet. So what changed is like, so the specularity, we can see this white spot appearing when the specularity is higher, and I changed the color, of course, and then I want the trumpet kind of shiny. So, and here I can control the shininess of my object. If I go down here, yeah, it's becoming really shiny, our trumpet. And I saw that my favorite value was 18. It's a good balance for me, doing kind of shiny. Then I went also here for the rim. I enable the rim light one, and then I play a little bit with the color first of all. So 0 0.9, 0 0.5, and 0 0.9 again. Then sorry, 0 0.9, 0 0.9, 0 0.9, sorry, so a little bit white. Then the center, I don't want it like 90 degrees, I want it like a little bit different, because here you can change actually how the light in the object is projected. So, and I found this value like best for me. And the width of the rim, so basically here we can add more lights on the rim, so like we can make the rim stronger or weaker. And yeah, my value was like, I chose a value of 0 0.11, and then 0 0.11, and then I want the rim stronger, or I can choose if the rim has to be stronger or weaker, and then I chose actually this one of the strongest value, like 10. Yeah, and yeah, that's the material for my trumpet. And now I'm gonna call it material, gonna get an error, but I will cut it and I will put it inside my geometry so that I can keep everything more in order. And then I will assign here the material. And then regarding the guitar here, I have these two texture, basically, to material diffuse, material specular, already from the FBX file that I downloaded. So I'm gonna use it, but this time with a PBR material. So I'm gonna switch off the trumpet, I switch on the guitar, and I am gonna open my PBR. I can already call it material, actually. I can already apply to the guitar. And now it's black, but I have to go to maps, and then I add, like, I have a specular material, so and I can add it to the specular material, and then I also want to add this other material, the default material, to the base color, to the base color map. And yeah, so now I have already like my materials already added, and then I had the diffuse material here also on the substance, and the specular on the metallic. Still doesn't change that much, but we have to now play a little bit with the roughness here, and now something will change. So with this value I can see more the materials that I applied, and in particular I want a roughness of 0.229, and then also here I will add the rim. I want the rim that is a white color, the center it's fine, like 90. The width has to be like a little bit bigger, and the strength also has to be bigger, so found this value of 5.90, the better value. And here we can also see what changes if I delete substance and the metallic. Yeah, the metallic actually, we can press here and we can see better what happens. So if I copy paste this, yeah, something changed, and I prefer this material on my guitar. So now that we have all the materials applied to our geometries, actually I can also do something like this. I can cut this, I copy inside this, and then I'll go one level up, back, and I add this material to my guitar, so I have a little bit my desktop more free actually. And also these guys here, I can make them a little bit closer. Alright, now that we have also the materials applied to our geometries, what we need to do is creating some masks, because we are gonna send the notes to, for example, the guitar, but then this guitar, with this max, we are gonna do like a transparency behind the guitar, so when the notes pass through the guitar, then they disappear behind. And also we need a mask because we want to create an edge, this white, when the particles are so the note hitting the guitar and the trumpet. And then when there is not this interaction, then we want that the rim is like this. So that's why we need the masks. And so for creating the masks, we need to use the trumpet render and the guitar render, and we send it to base, and this base is going to be called masks. Inside the masks we need two in, because in this way we are going to accept the two incoming renders. So we have like these two inputs for the base that we created, and one is going to be the trumpet render, the other one is going to be the guitar render. And now we have our instruments inside, and Then I want to create actually constant, this white, and the constant has to have the same resolution of the trumpet and the guitar, so it's 1020 80, so 1280 720, perfect, same resolution. And what we are going to do, it's basically we do a composite we need a composite that use the function operation on top, and also for the guitar we are going to do the same, so composite, and then we use on the top. This time we have to switch, so now we have our black and we have our white trumpet, and we are going to do the same, so we copy and paste here, but we are going to use the black color as constant. So that we have our, and of course we need to, so we need to substitute the input here with the trumpets and the other inputs with the guitar. So these inputs here, so we have also a black trumpet and a black guitar. So here we are going to add an out for the white and an out for the black masks. And we're gonna add like 4 out, or 4 null actually. We need a null here. And we can call it white W trumpet, white guitar, black trumpet, and black guitar. So now that we have our masks, we are going to use them first for creating the edge. So we need actually components to make. I use the component just to not have like that much crazy operators going on my desktop, but yeah, and to keep the things clean. So inside the edge component I need the other two two inputs, and these inputs are going to be like the trumpet and the guitar, the white ones. Sorry, I'm gonna also name this guy edge. And here I'm gonna first work on the trumpet, and I'm gonna add an edge top, change the parameters here, in particular the strength and the sample step. Then I add a blur, and I'm gonna change here the parameter of the pressing shrink to, and the filter, let's be 10. Then I add the level, and I'm not gonna do anything with the level. I'm gonna just use it later when I have like the trigger is like coming from the interactivity between the notes and the trumpet in this case, and it's gonna actually work on the opacity. So when there is the interaction, it's gonna be 1, so it's gonna be like this basically. The rim of my trumpet is gonna be like this when there is the interactivity in trumpet notes, and then when there is not, it's gonna disappear. So there is just the trumpet, normal trumpet that we already prepared on our desktop before. So, and now for now, let's keep it like 1, the value. And let's go farther. So we add like the level. Now we add a composite. And of course we need another top operator. And this top operator is going to be the trumpet, actually. So we need here an input. And this input is going to be this trumpet here. And that is a net. Now, actually, we can see better here. So when there is the interactivity notes trumpet, the rim of the trumpet is going to be this one when it's 1. But when it's going to be like, when there is no interaction between the notes and the trumpet, then this rim is going to disappear. So this is what we want actually with this edge. So we have this, we leave it like this for the moment, then we add null just to keep the work clean, and then an out. And with out, we have like an output here, and then it's going to be like our trumpet with the edge. And then we do the same thing, but with the guitar. So we copy and paste here. We delete this connection here. We drag the guitar. Disconnect also the trumpets we had. So the composite, these composites can be also not displayed. So, and the only thing we have to do is adding an input here. We add this input here, and then the input is going to be the guitar. So let's see the resolution, if it's fine. Yes, it's fine. So now we have also a guitar that has an edge. Whenever there is a interaction between the guitar and the notes, and then this, when there is not the interaction, then it's going to be without the ring. So perfect. We have also the other out. So now we can actually add a null, and then the other null, and we have our edge, trumpets, edge, guitar. Also, similarly, we are going to create another bass component, and we are going to create black mask or opacity. We can also call opacity. We need 2 inputs, 1 copy and paste, and the 2 inputs are going to be like the black trumpet and the black guitar. Perfect. So for these guys we need like constant, This constant has to be with a resolution of 1280 720, and the color has to be black. This is gonna feed the transforms operators. The first transform operator is minus 0.243, 0.2818 with a scale of 0.1. The first box that I wanted to create, then I want to create another box here, and this guy is gonna be like located at minus 0.22. Let's double check the resolution so that we are sure everything is fine. And then we just add a composite add. And we drag all our operators here. So something is wrong with this guy. Also here, you can also check better if these values are good. Yeah. So, and this is the mask for the first trumpet. For the trumpet. So afterwards, we need to create a blur. The filter of 14. And the sample step has to be 2.1. No, so the values were right here. So 4.9. And then we can basically do similar things with the guitar. So we need, in this case, just one transform. This transform so specific values positions. So actually we need to transform the constant, sorry. So we just need to copy and paste this. Transform these. Then we rotate a little bit the guitar. We rotate a little bit the mask. Like this. And then we see if it's matching. Compose it. And we add the add operation. And then also we add the blur. With the blur, we want to use a brushing of 8, filter size of 5, and sample step of 2 and 1. Let's double check if the position actually of the box is right, or our Mac or my masks, if it's right. So, and we have also blur here, perfect. So what we need to do now is just adding a background. And yeah, you can find whatever background you want. I'm using this background here with some stars, so I add a movie file in background. But yeah, you can use whatever background you want. Make sure that the resolution is matching the one that you are using. In this case, 1280 720. And then I add another composite to actually 1 2 1 2. I change to a top, and we double check here. So here we have to do this kind of thing, because we have to switch the input operator, and then we see how there is the sky full of stars, and we can add then a note for both of them. We get the two outputs also in our base comp, so we add to null now, and we have a mask trumpet mask guitar. Just use a composite over where we can drag all our render and our mask and our edges all together here. So we have the nodes, we have the edge trumpet, we have the background, the sky, and yeah. And also something we have is also our background. So we can call it here background. We can copy it. We can paste it here, and we can also use it here. And now we have basically all the scene ready. We just need the triggers now. That means, okay, we don't see now the nodes going behind, so we have to choose the right order for the nodes. So first we need so the render one, it's like nodes actually, and they should go a little bit up. Yeah, if so we can see if they are in the not in the first position, but actually a little bit almost at the end. And we now translate the position of the notes. When they are behind the guitar, they disappear because of the presence of the mask that we created. And when they go behind the trumpet, they also disappear. Though Anyway, it's still not efficient, so I think we have to do it a little bit bigger, the masks. Yeah, so I went through a little bit like the project, and I rearranged like the mask, the black mask, and also a little bit the size of the gels in order then to create the efficient mask to hide the notes behind. So, and the right values are for the guitar, the size should be 0.00025, so a little bit bigger. Then we go inside the opacity, and we go into the transform, and we type inside 0.248 and scale 0.286, 0.4. And concerning the trumpets, we just need to transform the 2, make it like minus 0.18, 0.448, 0.34, 0.28, and should be already better. We actually don't need this transform here. And now it's, although it's a little bit bigger than the trumpet, we have to consider that there is a blur that we add. And yeah, now we can see better that, yeah, they go behind the trumpet and notes hidden here. And if we move the notes towards the guitar, similarly we can observe that they disappear behind the guitar. Of course, you're free to modify this and make it bigger or smaller, or if you find the better values for creating the mask, you're free, of course, to modify it. But now let's jump into the most interesting part of this system, and this is like the trigger. So basically what I want to do, actually I want to also modify this thing, because yeah, I forgot to add this into our instancing. We actually created this, and we basically say that according to the life expect of the particles, that they are 5 seconds, we want that the scale is gonna be from 0.2, so really small notes, until 1.4, so a kind of big and visible, pretty visible note. But then I forgot actually to add this here into the instance, so I don't have like this life 0 in my scale. So now I'm gonna type in life 0 here, and now we can observe actually what I was mentioning before. So in the beginning, the scale of our particles is very small. Then it grows, it becomes bigger actually. So because we scaled it according to the length of the life of the particle. So yeah, but now let's go to the most exciting part, as I said before, of this system. Basically what we want to do is like the particles, we move the particles with our hands, and then we want to hit one of the instruments. So when we hit one of these instruments, we want, first of all, this edge appearing, because normally we will be without the edge. and we want to play some music, so we want to trigger music and edge, so visual and audio. So I work a lot with triggers and interactivity, and I'm planning to do more tutorials involving these techniques. So if you're interested into this, subscribe to my channel, because there are gonna be a lot of videos on this topic. So, but now let's go and build up our trigger system. So what we want to do is creating a base, and let's call it interaction. So this interaction will need two inputs, one and input two, and these two inputs, actually we need more inputs. Actually we need 4 inputs. So we need input 1, input 2, and then we copy, paste the input 3 and input 4. So the first two inputs are the white trumpet. So the white trumpet, then as third input I need the white guitar, and then I need the trumpet with the notes, and I need the guitar with the notes. These are my inputs here. So white trumpet, trumpet with notes, white guitar, and guitar with notes. Perfect. So now I'm gonna work on one of the system here. So, and then I will copy and paste, because basically it will be the same thing. So I need the edge on the white trumpet, a cache, and actually I need a cache where there is no interaction between the trumpet and the notes. So in this case we don't have any interaction, but to be sure we can just make the notes a little bit farther from the trumpet, so we can place them close to the guitar. Sorry. Now it's far, we are sure, and then we can click on active. We save this frame, we lock it to be sure. And yeah, so now we want to go and do a composite multiply. The rim of my trumpet, and then I also want another composite multiply between the normal, the real-time system. So basically I can put now at -1, there are like, and I want also like another composite that is a multiply between the edge, the white, and the rim with the interaction. So basically I can just compare them. So I have two edges now, one with the trumpet where there are also the notes interacting with the rim, and the other one that is like just the rim of the trumpet. Perfect. Now that I have both of them for this, and then after I want to add the crop. And what I want to do is basically just getting the closest possible to the trumpet. Yeah, this should be already a good value. I can also delete also a little bit of the upper part. And now that I have these values here, so the values are these. Once we have it, we can copy, paste, we drag the other trumpet, and then we add a difference top. So we want the difference between these two rims. So that means like the difference between like the normal rim, the ground rim with the other one that is getting the interactions. And then actually we have a trumpet here that whenever there is an interaction, the rims are highlighted. While when there are no interactions, so I will move my notes far, close to the guitar, the trumpet will be like the same one of the normal trumpet, so there are no interaction. Perfect. So we can close this now, because just to show you. And now what we have to add is a level top. Which we'll use first of all for make the colors pretty white. And also because we are gonna then modify the opacity of this with the Kinect, but we will see later. And then we add an analyze top. The analyze should be on the maximum. Yeah. So the maximum in this case now it's showing us interaction. Now we go again back to our nodes here. We move it to analyze. So now that there are all these interaction, the analyze is white, so we see the maximum. But then when we move it, when we move the nodes far, and it's the analyze is black again. So it's black because there are no interactions. So, but now we want this information as a chop because we want to trigger something. So what we need to do is like top 2, we drag our analyze, and then we add another analyze, but this in this case we want an analyze that is chop, sorry, and then we grab just the one channel. The R is fine. Once we grabbed the R, we can multiply it to be sure that also small values are codes and then transformed into a trigger. Then we limit our trigger. So we limit our analyze, and we want that a clamp from minimum 0, maximum 1. And we want to trigger. Now, of course, we will have a trigger that is with an attack of, that's fine, the attack, because it's kind of fast, but the sustain, for sure, it has to be 1. And then we want a little bit of decay length, and a release length is 0.9, so that we are sure that there are no interactions at all between the trumpet and the notes when there is this decay of the trigger. Afterwards we can add a rename, and we can rename it opacity. And we can also add another name that is the music trumpet. Can also go opacity trumpet. And yeah, so here we can create already a note. And here actually we need an audio file in and an audio device out. So audio file in, audio device out. We don't hear anything because I don't have like volume, but we should already hear. Okay, I don't want to hear it now because we still have to do a lot of stuff, but yeah, and we have to see if this system works. So what we want to do now, it's like again split the pen, go into the main system, moving the nodes, and say to the nodes be far, and again -1. So, and now there are the interactions. So when let's see the system. So first of all, we recap a little bit everything. So we take like the white trumpet, the trumpet with the notes. We get the edge of the white trumpet, and then we also get image of the trumpet, like without the interaction with the notes, adding a cache, and then we do multiplications. So first we get like trumpet note interaction system, and then we get like the rim of our normal trumpet. We do a difference, we add like some contrast because we want to make like really visible to our computer to be analyzed, and then we add an analyze. Now with the analyze and the presence of the interaction, we get a white screen using the maximum operations of luminance of the analyze, and we transform this information in a chop. We also add an analyze here. We select just one channel because they are going to be all the same to be sure of using all the triggers. Whenever there is also a really small interaction, then I multiply per 700, and then I add a limit from 0 to 1. When there is the 1 basically, or when there is like also like a small presence of a value bigger than 0, then a trigger is going to happen. And this trigger, I renamed it like in opacity and in note for the trumpet in this case. And then I added the note because I will use this opacity channel, and then I also add some music because I want to trigger the music. So far we have this. Let's have a look now first to the analyze system. I moved the nodes at -0.5, so there are a little bit less interactions. Let's see here, this part is not interacting at all, just this other part, but there is still the white channel, so there is still the interaction. So, and now if I move this farther from the trumpet, maybe I can even use this. Yeah, we can see the interactions. So still there are small interactions, but then there are small interactions, and they are still caught on. And when there are no interactions at all, the channel is gonna disappear. But of course it needs like a little bit of time to disappear because yeah, I set the trigger, the release of the trigger a little bit, almost 1 second. Of course, we can do it like a little bit shorter, but we have to be sure that the analyze system is really catching all the notes and the interaction with the trumpet. Now I place it a little bit farther, and yeah, there are no interactions. There are sometimes interactions, and they are caught. That's great. As soon they are not caught, the trigger is going to go down. Perfect. So with this system now we are going to use the null here, and we are going to use this channel, the opacity channel, to go to trigger the opacity here of our trumpet. So into the edge bass component, and we go where we have the trumpet, and here we have a level, and this level has an opacity value. So, and we drag the opacity channel that we got from the interaction to the opacity of our level, so of the edge. Reference it, and now we see in our main system that there are non-interaction, they are not interacting, so there are the edge of our trumpet is like the normal one, but as soon there are some interactions, the edge is gonna appear. So we can notice this even better if we just now move our nodes closer to the trumpet. Boom. Now there are a lot of interactions, and the rim is gonna be white when it's close to the guitar. This is gonna disappear, and we can use the same trigger to trigger music. So when there are interactions, the music is gonna play, and when there are not interactions, the music is not gonna play. So we go again into the interaction bass component, and we open our audio file in, and we use our music trumpet channel here for play the music. So in this moment it's not because there are no interactions, and the music, the volume, we also refer to the music trumpet channel. So now it's 0 because there are no interactions. Now I'm gonna again use the volume. So in this case we don't hear anything. We go to the notes here, and we move it again -1, and see below. So the system, the trumpet is interacting with the notes, and then we have the edge appearing and the music also playing. So again, perfect, very good. So now similarly we have to just do the same. So we can close this pan, and we go again into the interaction system, and we do the same thing here. So we copy this system, click outside, otherwise we are gonna then drag these operators, and then they are gonna be connected with all the other selected operators. We disconnect all the wires or the nodes here from the input 1 and input 2, and we need actually to drag the inputs of the guitar and the input of guitar nodes. Now we can unlock this. to make it active again. Super. What do we have here? We don't have anything because we want to use this and multiply it. So in this case we need again like the rim of our guitar with the interaction. We need the rim of our guitar interacting with the notes, and here we need to again split the pen, go back here looking for the notes that should be here, translate them towards the trumpet, the music. Perfect. And now we have our guitar without the interaction. We should have a guitar now that is not interacting with the notes, and we have one that is interacting with the notes. We need a crop, but this crop is actually not the right one, so we can delete this crop because it was the same, that's the values for the trumpet. Use a crop because in this way we help out the computer vision to do a more efficient job by analyzing just a small part of our screen. Perfect. Alright, so once we have the values, we copy the crop and we can use it for our difference here. But yeah, the input should be the other one, so yeah, to be careful here when we copy it. And we have to drag like our rim of the guitar and the rim of the guitar interacting with the notes. And now we have actually the top analyzed. We have all these sent to channels that are gonna trigger the sound and the opacity. So we change the name in opacity guitar and music guitar. And we also don't want that the interaction actually happens with the note trumpet, so we have to change here the references. Yeah. So first reference is the play with the guitar, music guitar, and the other reference is volume. So now we don't hear anything, but we should hear. So now we hear something. Go back on our system, but as soon we place our notes in the middle, we don't hear the music anymore when they disappear, for example. Okay, of course we still didn't trigger the opacity of the guitar, the rim, so we also have to do that. So for the moment we just place it at 1 again. I want to hear the music. I have already an out, so what I have to do is just to get a null chop, paste it here, and now I have my, so this is trumpet opacity, and now I will lose again my reference, and here I have the guitar opacity. Perfect. I split again the pen, super useful function here. We go in edge, we have an error because we changed the name, So let's fix it immediately. So I drag my opacity in the level, top, opacity. Now we have again the reference, and I will add the reference also here for my guitar. Opacity here, reference. And now we see I can again activate the sound, go back here, so but we can't see that. So what we need to do, it's like I have to show you the full screen. So, and actually I have to also show you full screen, like completely full. Okay, so perfect. Now we should have everything functioning. Let me check here. Yeah, we should have everything functioning. Maybe we can change also the sound here already. We can use another sound. So we changed the sound for the trumpet. Perfect. Okay, let's go back here. Let's close this and let's start to have fun. So I place the translate close to my guitar. And far again. Perfect. So the music is playing when there is an interaction and also the rim is appearing. Perfect. Now I go and I place close to my trumpet. Rim is appearing and music, different music is playing. Perfect. Perfect. Very good. So now I'm gonna switch off the music because otherwise it's gonna be a little when we walk. We just need maybe the interactions. We'll place it in 0. So basically what will appear here is just that now we are gonna play around with our hands, and whenever we move the notes and there is an interaction, then the rim and the music is gonna be triggered. The last thing we want to do, because now if I go in front of my Kinect, the thing is that I will see the notes, I will move them, and then I will leave the position in front of the Kinect, and the notes are still gonna be there. And this is a little bit annoying because we don't want, maybe we just leave the Kinect and then we are far from it, and the music is still gonna play. But no one is in front of the Kinect, so we don't want that. We want that when there are no people in front of the Kinect, also the notes disappear from our screen so that we don't have interactions anymore. So what we have to do that? So if we go back into our Kinect controller base, we actually selected the ID, person 1 ID, and now what we have to do is continuing a little bit working on this network, and we actually have to add an expression. This expression has to be like has to give us a trigger whenever the expression is bigger than 0. Why? Because if it's 0, so no one is detected in front of our Kinect. So there are no persons. And so the expression is 0, no trigger. But when there is a person in front of our Kinect, then there is going to be an expression because we asked to our system to give us a restitution value of 1, but this trigger goes from 0 to 1. So actually we really want a trigger because we want to trigger some opacity. We want that the notes appear smoothly on our screen, and we don't want like a button 0 1. We want like something that is triggered. So we want first of all an attack length that is like 0.5, a little bit smooth, and we want a sustain level that is 1, equal to 1, because the opacity level has to be 1. So we want a value of 1 when we actually trigger the nodes so that they are visible. And then we want that the release length is kind of fast. So whenever the person leaves the Kinect interaction, then the nodes are gonna use less than 1 second to disappear. Once we have done this, we rename this, and we can actually name it nodes opacity, and we add an out here. Once we have our out, we can actually grab it with a null. You can even call it nodes opacity. Yeah. And all we have to do, working with the opacity here of the nodes. So we add a level right after our render. And we are going to use it as a reference here. So still the interaction is detected. Splitting the pen, going into our interaction base, and use our channel here for the nodes opacity to trigger the opacity of our difference. So we use like our channel to trigger the opacity of the result of the difference of these two channels and the difference of these two other channels. So basically now we don't have any one in front of the Kinect, and we don't have nodes. Also we don't have interactions. So now I'm gonna go in front of the Kinect and now to split here. I will actually add a Kinect. And when I leave the position in front of the Kinect, also the nodes are gonna disappear, there are no interactions. So basically, yeah, we are pretty done with this system. So, and of course you can use like different gels, you can use different sounds. I actually used for my project these two sounds. So yeah. use these two sounds for my projects, but yeah, you can use whatever you want. You can use whatever, also another background. You can use another basically atmosphere, but then you can create the triggers in the same way. Yeah, that's all. So I hope you enjoyed and you liked it. If you have some comments, if you want to ask anything, please feel free to comment this video. Subscribe if you want to see other tutorials about interactive systems created with Touchdesigner.